Hey, you guys. Welcome to Almost 30 Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. It's Lindsey and Krista. We're so glad you're here with us. We're here for another KNL solo, baby.
We're going to be talking about ghosting today.
Yeah.
So Lindsey and I have over 700 episodes of Almost 30, which is crazy. We have a second channel, Morning Microdose, which is the greatest hits of Almost 30. And sometimes we just like to cruise and just talk about what's going on with us in our lives and pertinent and hot topics.
I've been ghosted a lot lately. That is what we're talking about.
You have?
No, I'm kidding.
100%. I was like, you know what? One of my
Hot topics.
one of my friends I was with, I was talking about being ghosted, and she's like, I get ghosted all the time because she has a special needs child, and she's like, the care will ghost them because it's a lot.
Oh, that's a real thing.
Yeah, she's like, I
That's
get ghosted all the time.
real thing.
I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's not only romantic relationships. It could be friendships.
Yep, that's true.
It
Friendships.
can be in your work life.
Yes.
You can be ghosted by people.
I was actually on a podcast with a friend the other day, and she was saying that she's been ghosted in friendships. Where she's been friends with people and they had like maybe one issue and then ghosted.
I've done that.
Obsessed.
For sure.
What happened?
But I feel like maybe it wasn't technically a ghost, but it was kind of like it was almost like beat, done.
Yes.
Do you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like this moment, funky this moment,
Yep.
and then I am done. And then we actually don't need to have a full-blown conversation about it.
100%. Yep, totally. Today's ghosting stories are going to be about dating. So we had tons of submissions from the audience in the DMs and then email, which is crazy just how pertinent ghosting is. I think if we talk about it, first like ghosting from a cultural perspective, I don't know if it used to happen. I feel like in smaller communities, it's like you knew everybody, so you would know whoever ghosted you.
Sure.
But now with the internet and with like how quickly things move and the way that online dating works, I feel like it's so common.
Yeah.
Every woman that I know, regardless of the caliber, her caliber has nothing to do with if she's been ghosted or not. But even I was talking to a friend the other day who's friends with a very, very, very famous, beautiful woman. She was like, yeah, when she told me she got ghosted 3 times, I was like, we're all in it.
Oh, 100%. And I think there's different reasons for ghosting.
Yeah.
So it's not just that like a person doesn't like you and they're out.
Yeah.
Like in that case, maybe there was
Totally.
intimidation and they just didn't even want to touch it. Or, there could be so many different scenarios. But I feel like when I was dating, yeah, there was a lot of ghosting going on. But I also think for me, I was allowing it over and over and over. Like there's kind of like a linchpin in the pattern
Yeah.
that I had to get very honest about. And
What was that linchpin?
the linchpin of the pattern was one, like just very much overlooking and settling for bad behavior.
Yeah.
And the bad behavior wasn't always obvious. The bad behavior was, not responding to texts for like a couple days or saying they're going to plan a date and then like last minute be planning it. And the other half of that behavior was me not asking for plans in advance or like, hey, let's plan this.
Yes.
Kind of the other part of that equation. And it just, it kept happening over and over. Cause honestly, I think my behavior was probably predictable and boring because I wouldn't challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So they were probably doing it to multiple people.
Yeah.
And it wasn't interesting
Totally.
to have yet another girl that's put up with their bad behavior.
Yeah, that's just accepting whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder what the challenge would be.
Or just like, I guess the challenge of
Like, hey man, let's make a
what
plan.
is,
Yeah.
like, I deserve better than this. Or,
Yes.
That could go one of two ways. They could wake up and be like, whoa,
Yeah.
no one's ever challenged me like that before. I kind of
Yeah.
like that. Or they could be like, I'm out.
Yeah. I totally hear you. And that's and I agree with you. And I think that's a good move. And then I'm also like, there's a part of me I'm like, do you want to be with someone you have to say that kind of stuff to?
No.
Exactly.
No,
It's
yeah.
like, if someone's already doing that, it can already be something that you can tell. But I have challenged a man and it has worked before in the long run. So I don't know.
I think it's very, very nuanced. But I think for me, the lesson was more of like, hey girl, you say you have standards.
Yeah, totally.
Practice them.
I do think people love to have the language of their standards and like being a high value woman or whatever. And then in practice, you see what's going on. Even like I'll look at sometimes my friends' text message threads and I'm like,
who are you?
who are you? And I just like, it's actually so cute to me because they'll be like, okay, so this guy's doing this. And I'm like, show me the messages. And I'm like, girl, you just have been sending him a string of 16 photos of you.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you know what I mean? It's like, I think it's helpful to have a third perspective to kind of see what's going on, see how you're showing up, be clear about things and like really figure it out. But I do feel like ghosting is more pertinent too, because I feel like, and I will say this being someone that loves men, I'm always like proponent for men, but I feel like they have very little skills in communication and conflict resolution. And I feel like there's also something more broadly too, where I think they have a perception that women are too sensitive or can't handle it. And maybe that could be validated from their parents, or maybe that was validated in their experience, but they have a fear of hurting women. Yeah. And I feel like men on the whole deeply fear letting women down. And I feel like it's so much easier to just ghost than it is to like actually have the conversation where they're like, she might get mad at me, she might be upset. Like, why would I risk having that happen when I could just go away?
Yes.
But it's like, it just is so much better if someone says, I've never ghosted anybody. You always have to say something.
Yeah.
Like to just.
Well, I think what we're missing.
For karma.
We're missing that like, this is like a part of life school. So if like you're not having the conversation, you're not getting to level 2. Like you're just kind of perpetuating something that's holding you back in probably a lot of areas of your life. So how you do one thing is potentially how you do everything.
So true.
And yeah, I feel like also that's the same when it comes to when you're dating. I think a lot of women and men feel like, well, if this isn't the one, then why should I put in effort? Or maybe they're confused about whether this is the one and they're missing the point of like, you know, let's pull up and out. Like God sent us this person to learn a lesson. So either learn a lesson, learn something about ourselves, just, you know, life. And I think the ghosting sometimes happens when we don't want to partake in potentially a lesson that's like presented in front of us.
Totally.
And also the ghosting happens when we think, well, this isn't my person, so I'm not going to spend any time here.
Totally. Yeah, I think even I remember the last person that I like ended things with, it was like, I was like, oh, I could just ghost. But I was like, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to practice my communication skills. How can I say something kindly and nicely to someone, expecting that they may have a response in return? How can I use this very low stakes communication as opportunity to like practice conflict management, conflict resolution? Like this is the stuff that builds the muscle to help you be better with intimate relationships, with business negotiation, with everything. And yeah, if you're not able to do that, it's like, I wonder what men would say about it, ghosting. I would love to like hear from men what they have to say. Because I do bet that there's been situations where like women probably reacted really poorly that have made them fearful to do it in the future. And I will have to say that I feel like women nowadays, maybe more than ever, are just like going really far in their minds and in the fantasy world of the relationship. And they're kind of probably thinking the relationship is way more than what it is, or moving themselves along further in the relationship than it actually is. So it's probably putting a lot of pressure on the men where they're like, I don't even know what to do because she's so far along in this. I need to get out.
Oh, 100%.
You know what my theory is? I'm so grateful that I have almost 30 to share it with. I have a theory. So I feel like people are more in situationships and like the fantasy than ever, like where it's almost like you haven't even dated someone for long, or you haven't even been on a date with them yet, but you have the app and you have their social media, and then you make up a whole story about them. They have a golden retriever, they have a lake house, They work in this thing, they do this thing. Okay, wow, I love dogs. Oh my God, I love going to the lake. Oh, he's cool with his mom. So you already have this like whole avatar experience with the person, and you have the whole like idea of the person. And I feel like this experience of us being so much more in the fantasy is because of social media. I think without all of these tools to really create an alternate reality in our minds, we wouldn't be so much, because before I never would have that. I had crushes, obviously, and I would like have my little fantasies about like Justin Timberlake looking at me at a concert and like being like, you're the one.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like the idea of you actually happening to me. But it's like with social media, you're able to actually create and experience a false reality of someone.
Yeah, completely. And I mean, I did that so many times where it's like you zip to 10 years down the line, and it's like, because you're doing that, you're unable to pick up on present moment, nuanced energy, words they're saying, you know, you can't pick up the vibe in a proper, accurate way.
Yes.
And I think also there's a part of us that doesn't have the attention span and or confidence in ourselves to be so present for someone like that. Like to not go 5 years ahead and to be just right here, right now in the unknown of who this person is, what they could be in my life, yada, 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 is, I think, more terrifying and or just more uncomfortable for people. And so the escaping to fantasy land is much more fun. And there's also kind of this odd like addiction or attachment to like the contrast. So you have this fantasy, you have like your ideal of what you could be stepping into. And then more often than not, when you go on a date with them or get to know them, there's going to be a little bit of a drop off of like what that is. And then you're either going to lie to yourself that you don't see those things, or you're going to see those things and then it's going to become kind of this potentially weird obsession with changing them. You know, it could go so many different ways. But just to go back to your point, the fantasy can just be the start of like a very distorted experience.
Totally. I use my workouts now for my fantasies.
Oh.
During my whole workout, I'm like, and then I'm at the club and it's with my friends and I just did a sick dance. And he sees me in the corner. I just did a sick dance and everyone's cheering. And I, you know, most of my fantasies, it's so funny because it's like Barbie land. Because most of my fantasies are like, ooh, I've got braids. No, I've got like a cool black dress on. Like I'm like dressing myself. Literally, it's
You're like, nope, next dress.
No, honestly, it's like online shopping for my fantasies. I'm like, okay, so what would I be wearing though? And I'm like just dressing myself up.
Oh, I am a sparkle gal. I'm also an element fanatic. So the fact that they just came out with sparkling element has made my entire summer. I'm going to talk about my tried and true element packets, the electrolyte powder that has changed my life. I was chronically dehydrated for years as a fitness instructor, and I really had to start taking my hydration seriously. And I learned that just drinking plain old water wasn't going to do it. So make sure that you are drinking electrolyte infused water. And you can do this by grabbing some element. It is tasty and it doesn't have any of the crap in it. All it has is salt, potassium, and magnesium, a really perfect ratio of the three. And there's no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS. So you're good there. But I have just noticed such an improvement in my cognitive function, in my energy. I have less muscle cramps. I don't have as many headaches. I sleep like a baby. I also produce breast milk like consistently and have like a great supply, which I'm so thankful for. And I really, truly attribute it to my proper hydration with Element. So there you go. The sparkling element is bomb. It is, they have some great flavors. I love the black cherry. It's vibey. it's summer to me. I will have one of those on a hot summer day. It just quenches my thirst. So try them all out. Try the packets, try the sparkling. You won't regret it. Right now, Element is offering our listeners a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single serving packets free with any Element order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors. So you can kind of get the lay of the land, or you can share it with a friend. You know what I mean? Get yours at drinkelement.com/almost30. That's drinklmnt.com/almost30. This deal is only available through this link, so you must go to drinkelement.com, drinklmnt.com/almost30.
Before we get into the story, so from a spiritual perspective, David Guillaume, who was on the podcast, he is a teacher of Kabbalah, and he was talking about ghosting. And he was saying that ghosting is the creator supporting you and moving someone out of your life more quickly. And I really love this perspective. He was talking about how we pray for the creator to interfere in our lives, to take action in our lives, and to support us. But when it's in a way like this, we get sad or we get upset or we feel like something wrong happened. But actually, it's like the most right thing for it to happen. Yeah. And I really love that because I do feel like for so many of us dating, we pray like, oh my gosh, God, help us, or creator, help us with this. But then when they move like a mid-tier man out of your life who you knew you weren't meant for, you're like, oh my God, no, we had something. Yep. But it's like, no, this is the best thing possible. It hurts, but it's the best thing possible.
Best thing possible.
I also think, last thing about it before we get into stories, for me, the ghosting's nice because I just create my own delusional reality. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I was intimidating. I made too much money. I was too hot. You know what I mean?
He has amnesia. He forgot my number.
Exactly. I was like, he died. So it's like nice because you can really make up whatever reality you want.
For sure. When you don't have the information from the other side, the story's yours.
It's actually, yeah. Like take this as a blessing to make up your own reason. Like write yourself your own text where you're like, girl, I just liked you too much. I was intimidated by you. Like, totally. And be like, that was the truth.
But I also want to say that I guess ghosting also applies to relationships that have been longer term. The roots are deeper.
We have a fiance story, honey.
Yeah, which is crazy. So it's like there's a lot of that going on in the dating world, which seems to be like kind of quick, quick interactions and then they ghost. But like, I think that should be called something else.
You know what? This is what this whole show is actually about. That is so true because because I love you guys so much. A lot of the stories were like, we met at a bar, we made out, and I never heard from him again. I love you, but that's normal life.
That's the thing.
Ghosting is like you have an expectation of one another based on more time and like.
But that speaks to,
what do you think?
I think women, when you have, because like making out at a bar, right? It's like sloppy, whatever. It's like, but women take that as intimate.
I agree.
They whether you're drunk or not, you're just like, we made out in public. Like we made out in public. And I think to Jillian Turecki's point when she said like, you have to have like an intimate connection in conversation before being intimate with someone. Like, that's why we become oddly attached after those moments, especially sex.
Totally.
But I think a makeout is like that too.
I know. I think it has to be like like longer than 3 dates. Like I'm thinking more like relationship ghosting where it's like you've built something and it's like.
Yeah. And you can build something in 2-3 dates for sure.
Totally. Okay. So our first ghosting story, our girl got us with the first sentence. Okay. So I was essentially ghosted by my fiance of less than 24 hours. We got engaged on a Friday night, followed by dinner at his parents' house with my parents as well. Then the next morning, he took multiple phone calls from his mother that left him in tears. We were supposed to go to lunch to celebrate with my brother and his family. He said he needed the afternoon to himself. I asked him if he only proposed because that is what I wanted, and he said no. That's what he wanted to do too, and he can't wait to spend the rest of his life with me. I left to go to lunch, and when I got to the restaurant 40 minutes later, my Ring cameras were out because I had apparently lost internet connection. Little did I know, my fiance was moving all of his stuff out of my house while I was out to lunch.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. The Ring camera cutting Sir.
Oh, so
This is people-
you and your mom are in an intimate relationship.
100. This is when people are watching too much like spy TV.
Yeah, they're like, cut the cameras.
Honestly.
They're like, duct tape her mouth.
Yes,
Like,
honestly. The mom's duct tape. She's like, I didn't even do anything. Okay.
My God.
Little did I know, okay, my fiance was taking his stuff out of my house when I was out to lunch. He took the internet box because the account was in his name. I came home to all of his stuff gone and his key on the counter. When I called him asking for a reason why he left, he said, it's the law that I have to give the ring back to him. I gave him the ring back to him via the police that he called to witness the exchange, and I never heard from him again. I'm still dumbfounded as to why he ever bought a ring in the first place. Being ghosted by my fiance of less than 24 hours was not on my list of to-dos, but it does make for a good story.
Oh, my.
Having the police witness the exchange.
Okay, watching too many movies.
Watching too many movies.
Wait, there's something with him and the mom
I agree.
that I need to know more about.
The next
I have
morning,
so many questions.
Okay, because this sentence really hooked you. The next morning, he took multiple phone calls from his mother that left him in tears.
Exactly.
I mean,
I want to be so conscious of this as a mom to a son, baby. Like, we ain't doing that.
Yeah, girl, you gotta not be having him be your pseudo husband.
Like, gross.
There's a huge generation of mothers that have done that, and it's so disgusting.
It's so gross.
I think that's a lot of the reason why men feel like they can't communicate with women because their mothers were so overwhelmed and emotionally unregulated that you actually couldn't have a conversation with their mothers.
Yes.
I've dated someone like that. Their mother was so unhingedly unregulated that you could not say anything to her without her going over the edge.
And or when you have conversations with women, you could have depending on her influence in your life, like her voice of like, oh, my mom wouldn't like her. Or what would my mom think?
True.
Kind of that intensity. Whoa. It sounds like she, again, God intervenes. And like, it sounds like she avoided like a serious fucking dumpster fire in terms of that relationship. That's crazy.
When I called him asking for a reason why he left, he said it's the law that I have to give the ring back to him.
Sir, a penny for your time. Can I just keep the ring and sell it and get a little bit?
Hey, brother, K Jewelers, you can get another.
Literally. Cubic zirconium.
I mean,
wow.
I do think it's the mother. I think that's a really good intuitive hit. Because the mother made him cry in tears.
And granted, like, he's not off the hook. I mean, he, like...
Totally. That's a good one. That's a good point.
It's totally on him. And what's this mother thing? I'm curious if she sniffed out the mother thing well prior. How long were you dating for? How long have you known him? I mean, that's pretty crazy to move out while she's at lunch. That's like Mission Impossible. That's very weird.
It's crazy because this psychologically, there's a flip that switched.
Exactly.
I think you're right. Something with the mom happened and the mom was like, you were always my baby. And something like a part of him was like, yo, we need to
she probably got it in his ear too about her. Like probably planted some seeds.
We need to eject.
And by the way, I know you're probably an incredible woman. I'm saying the mom sees you as like a threat potentially, but plants some lies of like, I think one of the things that I've heard from a parent of mine that was like, I'm really concerned. I'm concerned about X, Y, and Z. I'm concerned. I saw the way she looked at you and I'm just concerned. It's not what you desire. Something like that. And it's like, that could pierce a son if they're close to their mom and like fuck them up.
I mean, a flip switched and this man went
gosh, poor. I mean, I'm so sorry for this experience. And also,
I know, babe,
girl,
especially
you avoided
with a fiance.
some crazy,
would just be traumatic, truly.
Traumatic.
That's traumatic.
But just know when it's right, that won't happen.
Honestly. Hey, girl, we want you to know. We want to give you hope that when it's right, that's not going to happen.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Wow. That was a good one. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, babe.
Okay. Shall we? Next one. Ghosting story. Fiance and I were moving to LA. We found a place, got all set up. He moved a month before me out to LA. I found out I had to have unexpected arm surgery and had to delay my move a month later than expected. Best friend walked in on him with another woman in our bed. She told me he never spoke to me again. Never apologized, never denied. So she was out to visit her best friend in LA, and he saw her and ran in the other direction. 2 years together, never heard a peep. So that was the...
So they basically were together for 2 years. Someone walked in on him cheating on her, and then
he had moved out to their place that they were moving into a month prior because she had to have unexpected surgery. And so he's there. Her best friend walks in on him because maybe she was visiting the apartment with another woman.
If I had died before not having the chance to walk in on someone and another woman,
I know.
It needs to happen.
I would love that.
Every movie. It's like, I will be pissed.
What would you say? Or would you just be like...
I'm going to be like...
Throw up.
Yeah, what am I going to do? Like...
Slam the door and then open it again.
Like,
are you serious?
Yeah, like just like it's acting class.
Let me try again.
Yeah, I was like, hold on. You guys don't move. Like so many movies that happens.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the never a peep, never apologize. Again, I don't think it's a flip switch. I think that if dude was caught and his real human self was like, fuck, I didn't think I would get caught.
Dating for 2 years, you're hearing from me.
Oh, of course.
You're hearing from me.
I mean, I'm making 85 calls an hour.
Oh, you're hearing from me. I am.
But there's a part of it, for him not to apologize or reach out, it's almost like the part of him that understands how fucked up it is.
Oh, totally.
How
there's no going back.
How this is a betrayal, etc. He's just like, I can't even
totally
touch this, which is not right. But like, I can just see a man shutting down and be like, no, I can't touch this. That would make me feel too horrible about myself. I can never look at that ever again.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it crazy? The brain is so wild. Humans are so wild.
So wild.
That within our psyche, you can just put that in a box and lock the door.
Yeah.
And you're just like, moving on.
Yep.
Like you just fracture off.
Mm-hmm.
That man, I mean, honestly, if we're in a relationship, you're hearing from me.
Yeah.
Until there's no answer, but it's like, I just would need you to acknowledge.
Yeah.
What the deal was.
Because I think then, in her case, like she might turn it on herself where she's like, what did I do wrong? What about me is not good enough for him?
Yeah, totally.
I pray that that's not happening, but that's like a normal thing to kind of turn on yourself when you don't have answers.
Totally.
So you're like, well, let me figure out an answer. And most likely the brain's like, it was you. It was you. And then it's just, yeah. So I pray that you know that someone who does that is going to probably do that to that woman if he's in a relationship with her now.
And I mean, think about in your long term in your life and relationships, think about how many hard conversations you have to have with your partner. Mm-hmm. You can't have a hard conversation with someone where they're admitting fault to something.
Yes. I mean, that's probably top 5 things I would say I know now. When you admit to fault in general, whether it's a big thing or a little thing, that is the first step in the direction of we're good, we got this.
Yeah.
Like 100%. To not own things that you do, things you bring to the table, even if it's not completely your fault, is disturbing and will cause like a rift in your relationship.
Psychotic.
Because then you can't trust them to know and be conscious of their own actions.
I think that's a must admitting, when a guy admits fault, oh my God, who was it? I was talking to this guy one time from a dating perspective, and it was like just the beginning. And he's like, I'm so sorry, it took me like 2 days to reply. And it was we weren't even in the flow of talking every day. I was like, thank you.
Yeah. No, it's true.
I literally was like,
fastest thing to undoing my pants
same.
is
apologizing to me.
Apologizing.
Literally.
Or just owning anything.
Owning anything.
Yeah. And I have to learn that too. Sometimes I don't do that in the moment because I'm like, ugh, and then I'm like, no. God, owning it is the move.
I just think with any person admitting something is just like.
I agree.
Okay, I've done a little switcheroo in my morning routine, and very first thing, I am taking my AG1. Sometimes I would start with coffee because I was like craving it, but really, AG1 has like taken the place of coffee on so many days because it gives me energy. It really kickstarts my digestion. I just feel so much better taking AG1. If you don't know what AG1 is, this is an incredible supplement that is basically just one little scoop. One little scoop is insanely researched back. It's a foundational nutritional supplement that honestly I highly recommend if you're someone who, is just confused and overwhelmed by like, what pill should I take? Managing all of that, like this is one scoop. I know y'all are busy. You are on the go. Make it easy to support your health. 97% of people in a research study felt more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. 91% of participants noticed they need less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. My hand is raised. Their ingredients support sustained energy so you can get the best version of yourself each and every day. So I'm really excited for you. AG1 is right around the corner from being delivered. If there's one product I trust to support my whole body health, it's AG1. And that's why we've partnered with them for so long. Like honestly, the first years of the podcast. Starting your journey with AG1 is a win. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2. I always have this on hand, very important. And 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/almost30. That's drinkag1.com/almost30. Check it out. Okay, whether you're off to the pool, hiking, or traveling this summer, you're bringing your microbiome with you. Am I right? We cannot skimp on like truly taking care of our gut when we're on the go. The 38 trillion bacteria that live in and on you, especially your gut, are essential to whole body health. And Seeds DS-01 Daily Symbiotic, which I've been taking for about 3 years now, is a 24-strain probiotic and prebiotic that benefits your gut, your skin, and heart health in just 2 capsules a day. Literally every single morning, I take my 2 seed capsules with water, take it down, and this really creates a cascade effect of healthy habits throughout the day. I've noticed an incredible difference in my skin. I've noticed better digestion, regularity, less bloating. It's been a game changer for me. I've just noticed a difference over the years, and I notice when I don't take it. I get bloated. I sometimes get constipated. So really important to take care of your gut. It's a central hub for various pathways through the body, and a healthy gut microbiome means benefits for so much. If you're dealing with digestion issues, skin health issues, heart health, immune system, and more, you must try Seeds DS-01 Daily Symbiotic. This is a patented capsule design so the fragile bacteria can survive the journey all the way from shipping to in your body and just getting where it really needs to be in there. So support your gut this summer with Seeds DS-01 Daily Symbiotic. Go to seed.com/almost and use the code 25almost to get 25% off your first month. Such a major discount. Take advantage of it now. It won't last long. That's 25% off your first month of Seeds DS-01 Daily Symbiotic at seed.com/almost. Code is 25almost.
Are you going to share yours?
Yeah. Okay, guys.
Okay. What you've all been waiting for.
This is what you've
The
all
main
been waiting
event.
for. I told this story, I think, on a podcast, Good Moms, Bad Choices, and then at my comedy set that I did. Okay. Let me just cozy on up.
You can stand up if you want.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Okay. So I was traveling and I was on dating apps in a different city. I was in Miami, let's say. I was in Miami dating. And it was a layover in Miami. And I was just new to apps. So I met someone and I saw them. They showed up on my feed and I was like, this is weird because I don't usually like this type of person. I'm like, okay, this is different, but I'm into it. It was the humor was spot on.
Yeah.
I don't usually match first, but I matched with this person and we started talking right away. Like the best, just best right away. Got my number. We started messaging right away. And it was like the perfect flow. Like, and then for the next like 3 days when I was in town, we were talking like all day. It was like things that I do not share with people, I was sharing with him, like stories and experiences. And that's just not like me at all. And it was just like, everything was so funny. It was like every joke I could say, every joke he could say, it was like the best. The best, the best, the best. Just like that injection of humor and play. And what I also really loved about him is he was like, he would like stop. Like I would be like, oh, like I said something. I was like, oh, I wonder if you're going to have this much like game in person. And he's like, I don't try to have game. He's like, game isn't my thing, even though like whatever, we'll see. But it was just like, he would also like call me out on stuff. So it was just
wouldn't
amazing.
just be like a yes person.
Wasn't a
to,
yes
like,
person. The vibes were immaculate. The humor was perfect. The banter was on point. I'm so about humor and banter. So we made plans to meet. And we planned to meet. He like calls me before the date and was like, can't wait to see you. I'll see you then, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, even it was like right away joking. Like it was right away into characters. Like I was a character at a hedge fund. He was like a character. We were like, it was crazy. So we met for the first time. And then we sat down at 7 p.m., got up at 2 a.m. from the place. Didn't eat a bite of food, didn't eat anything. Had maybe like a glass of wine each. And we're like, oh my God, the lights came on. We're like, oh my God. So he leaves. Messages me after, and then we're messaging all night. And then the next day he's like, I'm going to skip work and we're going to hang out. I was like, perfect. So we ended up hanging out that next day, hung out for another 6 hours before I left, like the best. Had some weird like synchronicities happen. Amazing. So I had to leave that night. And then for the next like month or so, I'd say like month and a half, we were talking almost like every day, just like in a flow, having so much fun, like just like everything that I normally really like in a relationship. Like I loved the way he paced it. I loved that he wasn't forcing anything. He wasn't like sexual. He was playful. He was respectful, like so much fun. And then it eventually like it got a little like flirty. So I was like, I led it to the flirt zone. I was like, okay, we're going to go to the flirt zone.
So sorry, the first date, no kissing, no like, you both felt
so much
something.
chemistry.
So much chemistry.
So much chemistry.
Yeah.
Like the second we saw each other, it was like.
And like flirting that first date, or was it just kind of like.
Very flirty, but not like.
Yeah, not like touching.
There was touching, but it wasn't like trying to hook up with you. It was very much like.
Yeah.
Very
connection.
like into the conversation connection.
Love it. Okay.
Like perfectly on the same page with everything, laughing, joking. It was like one of those where you were like time traveling.
Yeah.
Like we sat down and it was like, I don't even know what we talked about, where we went, but it was like nonstop. And it was so much chemistry. Like it was the best. I just remember sitting there. I was like, oh, this is the best. Didn't even know like anybody else was in the room. And then the next day, then we were like holding hands and like had a kiss and all of that. So it was like very whatever. And which was like perfect for me because I don't like to kiss on the first date. That's like not my vibe. Like I don't even usually like to kiss on the second date, but whatever. So, and in the texting, it was like getting deep, like things were going on in his life. I was sharing about things in my life. Like we were voice noting almost every day. Like it was like very much sharing a lot. And I really liked how much space I could feel like I took in the relationship. Because most of the time in relationships, I don't feel like I can take up as much space as I want to. And I was like, oh my God, I can take up so much space. And like, it just felt so amazing. And so talking for over a month, and then I ended up going back. I had to go somewhere else, and I was going back to Miami. And I was like, that was weird. One day I was like, I didn't know if I wanted to date this person, but I really liked them. And I was like, doesn't make sense for my life. Doesn't make sense for his life. Our relationship wouldn't make sense at all. But it was very like karmic. It was like, yo, whatever's happening. So we're like talking. And then I'm like, I'm coming back in 2 weeks. So I was like, I have to go to here and then I'm going to come back. And something had happened in his life that we had been talking about a lot that day that was really hard in addition to other things. And he was like, okay, like started to get like kind of flustered about me coming. And I was like, okay, what's going on? But I was just like, whatever, I'm going to like let it be. And so I eventually end up coming. and I end up landing in Miami. And when I landed, we met up immediately. We had like the best night, hung out for like 6 hours again, like just so much. It was like the best, like so good, like chemistry right away, on the phone right away. And then that week we're like talking every single day. It was like, but kind of like getting a little like shifty. I could tell. I was sensing some comments that were being made about money and about my lifestyle and about the things I do and about like kind of the life that I live, which is very different than this person. And I was like, okay, what's going on? But it was still like voice noting every day, still like connecting, still all these things. I still had like a lot of access to everything that was going on in his life. And so it was all week until Thursday. And on Thursday, I was like working somewhere and I was with clients that was close to his place. And he called me and he's like, hey, like I got something happened. I'm really excited. I'm like, oh my God, let's celebrate. Like, come. And he's like, okay, perfect. Like, let me just finish something and then I'm going to come meet you. And I was like, perfect. And I was like, okay, like, let's figure out a different place than here. He's like, okay, let me brainstorm. And then like, I'll meet up and I'll message you. And that is the last I've heard from this man. Do you die? Actually, he did message me later, but it's not as dramatic of an ending.
Too later.
Too much later. Too much later.
I mean,
do you die? This man is still in the shower, brainstorming.
I hope he's not dead and
I
drowning.
honestly secretly do hope.
It's just because I think what's so...
I saw that now I can, looking back, see the signs of like how he did not expect to have me happen in his life, but still.
Still, because it's heartbreaking just to hear. I know you're good, but it's like it's almost like, I'm like, wake up. What's wrong? Like, what's
girl.
I'm like I feel the and you can't date potential, but like I feel the potential within him, and there's just like this thwarted growth that's happened where like, come on, man. You got this.
Oh, and that's the thing is I saw good, so I didn't see all the ways he was self-sabotaging. And he was telling me who he was. He was like, I'm not making this much. I'm not this successful. I'm not like at the place that you are, at the place that, and it's, you know, which is fine, but it's like, I think for me, what annoyed me is like one of the times we had hung out, I think it was like, maybe we had hung out a few times when I was in, I don't know how many times, but I said something where I was like, hey, I want to let you know, like, the pace of this, like, if anything feels too fast or rushed, like, I'm all good. Like, I'm not looking to, like, make this a thing. Like, I'm looking for, like, lovership right now. Like, I just want to, like, travel and have, like, lovers. And he was like, no, like, da-da-da-da. And, like, kind of, like, was like, no, like, I love that. And I'm like, okay, but if you did think that, like, why don't you just say something?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But maybe he was like, lovership's not for me, or maybe...
No, I think it's just... I think the voice in his head that said, you're not good enough, making enough, successful enough, whatever for this girl, even though you didn't say
literally
anything around that, he probably has this same thing with other people he dates. And like, maybe he has a history, this is conjecture, like where he dates younger because they're so clueless about... You know what I'm saying?
Totally like, makes sense.
So... Again, I think it's actually interesting that he was so outwardly vocal about these things that he was insecure about, basically.
Yeah.
You know, I don't make this much, I don't do this, or, you know, things going on at work and I feel this, or whatever it was. Like, it's kind of like telling you where he's at.
100%.
So then you can make a decision and kind of reflect and be like, yeah, I actually deserve this and or want this.
Totally.
You know?
And it's just, I mean, dude, but it was honestly when he was like in the shower brainstorming, I was so relieved. Heartbroken, obviously, after. But that night and that weekend, I was in New York and I was doing other stuff. And I was so relieved. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. Because that week I'd been there, we had hung out and had a lot of fun, but he was also kind of wishy-washy. Wasn't as being like clear as like I needed and I deserve. And so that was almost like, okay, few because
this was
Like, it's like, this is an answer
Yes, exactly.
if you think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
No response is a response.
Yeah.
So him not saying anything to me and him getting in the fuck is a response.
Yeah, but it's crazy that there was no text for a long time.
Oh my God, a long time. And then when the text
crazy.
came in, I was like, girl.
Cartoon Krista, jaw drop, eyes bug out. What?
I was like, girl, bless.
That's crazy.
But if you think I'm ever going to message after
Yeah, that's delusional to think if he thought
love,
messaging you.
like I love, like bless, and there's no hate, like love. But it's like, yeah, what are we talking about?
Well,
That's the psychosis of you in the shower and then this message. What journey are we on, brother?
yeah. He's like, we time traveled, right?
We time traveled. Well, maybe it's just girls being like, oh, like I honestly think though that there is a world where a lot of women would just be like, oh, so like, you know what I mean? And just kind of start it off again or like kind of be in it. And it's like, it doesn't work for me.
Many worlds where women would be like that.
Many.
I've been there.
Many.
And I'm like, And then you just compartmentalize how heartbreaking and
Totally.
fucked up it was.
It's like because you have the connection back, you're like so excited.
Yeah.
You feel.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's wild. I
there's
wonder what type of initiation that was for you. Because it wasn't at the beginning of your dating
no.
experience at all. But like, I just wonder.
What type of initiation? Well, I know it was a karmic relationship. I know that it was a soul. So karmic relationships oftentimes are not like people that you're with a lot, but it's like you've done this before in previous lifetimes. It's that feeling that you have where it feels like you know them already. Usually you can have like a lot of fun. That witty banter happens really easily. It's like you can get really deep with them fast. It's just like that chemistry oftentimes is soul contracts. So I knew it was a soul contract, but I don't. My only thing is like, I hope that I've approached it in the best way possible so that there's no weird karma on my end. And so I've thought about, I'm like, I would never reach out or say anything, but it's like, that's what I just hope. I'm like, I hope I did my best of being kind, clearly communicating, being loving so that there's no weird karma from this. But I don't think karma is going to be on my end,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's interesting to think about reaching out and just being like, would there be a world in
just
which you would
wanna
reach
laugh.
out and say, oh, you just want to laugh. You don't want to be like.
I want to laugh. No, I want to laugh. I
Okay.
just want to be like,
So it's like, how did we get from here to here? Tell me, brother.
literally tell me, brother.
Yeah.
That's my fantasy is being like making fun of it.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, it's like if you're like that, like it doesn't make me mad. It's like you're suffering.
Yeah.
You're suffering.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
and it's crazy too. I'm like, I don't bite. I was like, I'm always available. What do you want to say? Okay. This is scaring you? Okay. What do you like? Sure.
So wild.
What do you like? It's all good.
Totally.
Like,
Bless up.
I know. And you guys will never know who he is or ever find him. So he is a music producer who lives in Miami.
Well, when you say Miami, I know it's not Miami.
It's a very specific type.
It's
that
a
comes up.
very, I love it. I love the visual
Yeah.
on this Miami
So maybe
type.
I'll say Austin.
It's like so not your type.
I know. That's
So
why
that's
it's
why I
like
love that you
spicy. It's like
chose.
Latin. They're like, wow, a Latin lover. Like, okay, no, it's Austin.
Yeah, Austin's a good one. Well, wow. Okay.
Bless.
Bless up.
So that's my journey. That's my truth.
Any ghosting since?
No.
Cool.
No.
So maybe that was like a.
Yeah, I'm hanging.
Cool.
I'm hanging. Okay. There you go, guys. We got our ghosting stories for you.
Thanks for submitting those.
Yes.
Those
So if you've been ghosted, you're not
fun.
alone. We had so many submissions from people. So thank you for
Yeah.
emailing us your stories. And just know that this was the creator just moving this person out of your life as a gift to you, as in a support to you. And just knowing that you can also pay it forward karmically and always clearly communicate to people. If you want to end something or if you want to move out of a relationship or partnership, you can be the leader in this and creating that space. So highly suggest doing that too.
Yeah, and I think it can be so easy to like be very hooked on the past and what just happened, you know, and it'd be hard to move forward in a lot of ghosting scenarios,
Yep.
as brief or as long as they were established. But I think it's like this experience can serve as like such a catapult forward and like
Yes.
what you will be available for
Yep.
now, what you won't be. Like it could be such a
Totally. And no response isn't a response.
yeah.
Just remember that. No response is a response.
Amen.
Okay. We love you guys so much. There's tons of other solos with Lindsey and I. You can search KNL solo. We also have our own solo episodes where we talk about things. I've done episodes on dating. Lindsey's done episodes on dating, which are super fun and helpful. And thank you for subscribing to Almost 30, for rating and reviewing. Almost30.com for all of our partner information about our show. Morning Microdose is our clips channel. Almost 30 podcast on TikTok and Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at It's Krista.
And I'm at Lindsey Simsick. Thanks for listening. We will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.